Hello, I'm Mr. Freely, and what would you like to be called, first of all?
Dakota.
Dakota. Well, it's very nice to meet you, Dakota. Today, before that, let me just tell you that I very much appreciate you coming in and talking with me today, and I hope you feel comfortable sharing things with me as we get into some of the stuff that you've been going through, and I'll be talking about what I might be able to offer you in terms of moving forward and how we can work together to make things better for you. Okay?
Okay.
So before I get started, let me just tell you that in terms of confidentiality, things that you and I talk about will most always stay between just us and the people that work here. The only exceptions to that are if there's any mention of harm to yourself or to others, if there's any mention of abuse or neglect to a child or an incapacitated adult, someone that can't care for themselves, or if there's a court order for that, any information. Those are the only times when there would be exceptions to the confidentiality. Otherwise, just between us. Okay?
Okay.
Any questions before I move forward?
No.
Okay. So like I said, basically I'm gonna let you talk as much as you would like to about your experiences, what things have been like for you in the past, and then I will get into what we do here, give you sort of an overview, and then we'll talk together about how that might work for you, and if it would be a good fit for you moving forward. Okay?
Okay.
So first of all, why don't you just tell me what brings you here today?
Just that I've been having treatment in the past, and that my doctor referred me here.
He referred you here?
Yes.
What did he tell you about coming here?
Just that it was a really good program, and that more better opportunities to help me move forward.
Okay. And so you were in treatment for depression,
Yes.
right? So yeah, what we do, and you received the information, the packet for before coming here. You will be able to look over that.
Yes.
So yeah, so what we do here is we're a program that is specifically made to work with individuals who have had depression in the past, have had treatment, and we are there to help you prevent it from coming back in the future. So relapse prevention program. Okay? So we're trying to build the skills so that, and sort of a mindset overall, so that you can deal with it in the future and it doesn't come back to be a full depressive episode, as it's called diagnostically. Okay?
Okay.
So you were referred here by your doctor, and how did treatment go for you? Was it a positive experience?
Yes.
It was?
I just felt like I was getting good treatment there, but I just felt like I needed a little bit more help.
Okay.
And he referred me here.
And what kind of treatment did you get? It's kind of a loaded question.
Yeah.
Were you getting medication?
Yes.
You were getting medication. And then was there also like a talk therapy component? Okay. So what we're doing is not involved with the medication component, but it's probably similar to a little bit of what you've done in terms of talk therapy. Cognitive behavioral therapy is seen as like the gold standard treatment. So I'm pretty sure that's what you were engaged with your therapist. So what we do is that cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, with a twist. And we'll get into that more. But back to you. So tell me maybe about one of the times when depression set in for you, a depressive episode.
Well, the first one that comes to mind is when I broke up with my girlfriend. And I just felt like I just wanted to kind of close everything else off just kind of shut down, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
and just didn't want to talk to anyone or do anything.
Yeah. Sounds like that was hard for you. How long ago was that?
That was just last year.
That was this last year?
Yes.
Okay. So could you tell me a little bit more about what that was like for you? What happened in terms of your everyday life?
As I just shut down, I just kind of closed off, my connections with my friends and just, hanging out with them.
Mm-hmm.
Just not wanting to kind of really do anything. I just felt like I just didn't, have the energy to really, or the want to do anything else.
So what kind of things would you do?
Just kind of, just sit around, just kind of, just not really do anything.
Not do too much. How about the most recent time that it's happened in terms of having a full, kind of bad time, depression?
Not exactly sure what really caused it.
Mm-hmm. How long ago was this one?
It was like a few months ago.
Okay.
It might have to do with just stress at work. Just a lot that we had to get done, like within like the period of like 1 month, like getting ready for a big event that we had, and then like a bunch of like 3 or 4 other projects that I had to get done at the same time. And like even after it was all done, it's just like, what just happened? Just kind of just hard to really figure out like what I should be feeling after that.
Could you say more about how you were feeling then?
I guess it was like relieved, but like just like kind of sad that it was over at the same time.
And could you, what is it that you do for a profession?
I work with Nature Photography magazine.
Okay.
We work with the Smithsonian Museum of Natural History in Washington, D.C. And we just recently had a gala event there, and it's just kind of a lot of chaos trying to get like all the catering and then like the seating, just everything that we had to get done, and like all the payment had to get sent to them before. It's just like a lot on my just seemed like it was a lot of pressure on my dad too.
Yeah. So on your dad. So do you work together with your dad?
Yeah, my mom and dad.
Oh, your mom and your dad?
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
I've been working with them for a few years now. Since I graduated high school. I decided, you know what, there's so much pressure to go to college right now, and just with everybody going to like what was it? Just like the group of colleges, like Harvard and like this like Brown and this really not necessarily preppy, but just like expensive and really well. I mean, not just known, but also like with their programs, just have really good programs, and just seemed like just a lot of pressure on me.
Sounds like that's a theme. You feel like a lot of pressure in life, generally.
Yeah, and like with going to college, just with the high school that I was at, there's just a lot of pressure on like going to really, really good colleges.
Oh yeah.
And it's just like, you know what, I'm just gonna do my own thing. Let them go to the colleges that they want to, and I already know what I wanted to do to begin with.
You knew what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
So you wanted to work with the family business.
Yes.
And so you've been doing that for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
And
almost 4 years.
Nice.
Maybe 4 years next year.
Yeah. And so you said this most recent time that you felt like you were in this depressed stage was because of stress at work, pressure at work, that kind of stuff. So you said it was kind of related to this event that was happening, right?
Yes.
So do you think that's something that's more of like a one-time thing, or do you typically feel pressure at work like all the time? Or is it a stressful environment for you?
There are times that I feel like more stressed. I mean, as of late, just because of this is our 20-year anniversary, and just like trying to have it like the best that it can be. And it's like wanting to make sure it looks the best, and just, I mean, that's really to me the most pressure that I feel, like just that I want people to see it at the best quality that it can be.
Yeah, sounds like you take a lot of pride.
I do.
Yeah,
because
sounds like it's pretty personal to you.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, I've pretty much grown up with the business, so it's just, I feel like it's just kind of like ingrained, like kind of into my DNA, so to speak. That it's just like,
a lot of people would probably be envious of that you know what you want to do at such an early age. You know, kind of have a calling. You said it's in your DNA.
Yeah,
that's kind of cool. So there's some very good components of your work, and then there's also the stress and pressure kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so tell me a little bit more about this recent depression stage that you had. Like, how did it affect you? What were you feeling?
It's just like after everything was done, it just felt like trying to figure out, like, I felt sad in the morning. It's just like, how am I supposed to like process all of what happened? You know, because like I feel like a calmness after.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, it just feels like a void in a way. It's like, what am I supposed to be feeling after this?
Sounds like all of your energy and purpose went into that, and that was like everything, and then it's done, and so it's like, what do I do now?
Yeah.
So that you're saying that's when you felt the depression kind of set in?
Yeah.
So what, like, how did you know you were feeling depressed at that point? Like, what things were happening?
Just that it's like the next issue's done, the event's done, the exhibit is done.
Right.
And it's like those three components, like mainly the next copy, the issue. It's like we usually, like in the fall, that's usually when we're working on it.
Mm-hmm.
So it just feels weird not to be working on like designing and like editing anything for that.
So let me ask you that in a different way. Like, so when that happened, like what kind of, I guess I can call them symptoms, were you feeling? Like, for example, like sleeping like a lot or not sleeping like at all, really, that kind of stuff. Like, how was it affecting you? Like you said with your situation with your ex-girlfriend, you were like not doing things that you used to like to do. You were not hanging out with friends. You're kind of just sitting at home and like not doing too much. That same thing happened to you?
Yeah, I just felt like at a kind of at a loss of like, what am I supposed to do?
Mm-hmm.
Just like trying to figure out how I'm supposed to be feeling after it. Like, right. I know I felt relieved as well, but
mm-hmm.
At the same time, it's like, okay, what do I do now?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, I just felt so like tired after,
yeah,
because I put so much energy into trying to get it done,
mm-hmm.
that it's just like, okay, it's done.
Yeah, it's maybe like physically and mentally exhausted kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's just so much, like, I mean, I put so much energy in, like, I mean, I felt stressed, but like the pressure was kind of on to make it like the best that it can be. And I want, I want it to be the best,
mm-hmm.
And make sure that it is presentable,
yeah,
to the general public.
Yeah. So like you were saying before, you have a lot of pride in it.
Yeah.
And so that probably adds to the stress because you want to make it as perfect as possible. Yeah. So that's something that could lead to feeling these depressed ways, right? And what are some other things? Are there any other areas, like outside of work, things that might cause you to feel, we'll just call them like triggers, like something that might trigger you to enter back into a kind of depressed state? Any other sort of things? How is oh, go ahead.
Well, what were you saying though?
I was going to ask, how is the because you work with your family every day?
Yes.
So how are family things outside of work? Do you also live together?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's hard to, like, when we go home, we all go home together. So it's just like, we're still working. It's just like, how do we separate like work at the office from home?
Mm-hmm. So do you bring it home with you?
I mean, I try not to, but it's just hard for my parents to, as well. And I just feel that I just kind of get that like vibe of stress from them, and then just kind of, I don't know how I necessarily feel it, but I just get that like, maybe that like aura or something, that just kind of I just absorb it in a way. Yeah,
it's really interesting that you said it in that way. That you just kind of feel it. And you also, I noticed that you pointed like right here. Do you feel it in your stomach, would you say?
Yeah.
What is that? Well, we'll get more into that later. I'm glad that you said it in that way. That makes me kind of optimistic that you can kind of quickly get what we're going to be talking about and looking at things a different way here. So a lot of it has to do with looking at how things affect the body and feeling them in detail, like right when they're happening. So it sounds like when that happens at home, you just kind of, you said you feel the stress, and you went like right here.
Yeah.
So part of what we will be doing in this program will be, so you feel it, it's like a complete dedicated attention to what it is that you're feeling and exploring that. And that's going to hopefully allow you some insight on what exactly it is that's happening, and maybe some different ways to respond to that than you might have had in the past before. So I just wanted to say I'm kind of glad that you did it that way, because it goes in line with sort of our perspective. But yeah, tell me more about that. We're talking about the stress at home with the family.
And it's just sometimes like when I feel that, like, it's just like I notice like my dad just kind of like pacing a little bit or something like that, I can just sense it. I don't necessarily, like, even if he's like not talking about anything, I can kind of read it from him, and just kind of, I just feel it, like, I guess in my stomach too. It just kind of, it frustrates me in a way, because like I don't want him or my mom to feel that way at home. You know, and just kind of let that kind of go as much as possible.
So so the stress comes home from work, and does it lead to anything else? Does it lead to does it lead to like arguments at home? Does it lead to, what else happens? Or is it just this feeling of stress that's there at home?
It's
as well?
a feeling of stress, and then like might like ask him just a general question, just calm as can be, and then he'll just get all like agitated, and that just frustrates me even more, because it's just like, seriously, why are you like mad at me for just asking just a simple question? And that just, along with the way that I'm feeling like in my stomach, that just like, I guess, increases the way that I'm feeling.
So it's kind of just coming from all directions. Yeah.
I just get, I feel like I just get like overwhelmed with it, and that just kind of slowly like boils and just kind of takes over a little bit.
What happens then when it takes over?
I just kind of like just like, you know, whatever, I'm just not gonna deal with this right now. Just kind of like like an escalated voice sometimes. It's just like I just need to get away from this. Like sometimes I'll just like go down in my room or something like that, and just kind of try to zone out.
Yeah. So that's kind of been how you've dealt with it in the past. It sounds like a lot to deal with, like, you know, working with them at work. You guys take so much pride in your work. It's this great thing that you've built. But then it's also very stressful because it's all on you guys, it sounds like. Yeah. And then, you know, you have that, and then you're also living in the same household. It's a lot of stuff that you're all dealing with together. It sounds like all the time. So that sounds tough. Yeah. And so it sounds like your sort of coping strategy is to just, you know, sounds like maybe you get a little angry with it, and then you just try to get out of it. Yeah, because I don't want, like, I know how, like, he's feeling, and it's like, if I go any further with it, like, with him, like, that's just gonna escalate it even more. So, like, I just try to, like, kind of let him be, and just kind of distance in terms of just, like,
me going like into my room, just kind of chilling, or trying to chill,
Yeah.
and then let him just hopefully calm down.
Yeah. So that's kind of been the way that you go about it. You said you know how he's feeling in those situations. Could you say a little bit more about that?
Just like along with the work, like sometimes they're like some people, it's just like I understand like more about like how much he goes through, and how much work he puts in to doing this stuff, and then like they'll sometimes just not even like we give them something like months ago, and then they're just looking at it, or like it just takes a really long time to do anything with like certain people that we deal with.
So it sounds like while
because we take so much pride in it that it's like, really, we've worked with you so long. I mean, like with certain people that he knows, it's just like some things that they do, it's just like, really?
Yeah. So it sounds like even though this stress aura that's there at home can lead to conflict between you guys, it sounds like you can also sort of empathize with how he's feeling.
Yeah.
And kind of feel for him. And it's so maybe like, I understand that you're feeling this way, but at the same time, the stress is causing problems at home as well. And so you've been talking about your dad. Is the same thing kind of happening with your mom, or is it different with her?
It's different. It's kind of a different like relationship, you know, in a way. Whereas like, with my dad, it's like we're our similarities. There's so many similarities between the two of us that sometimes it's like there's like pros and cons of it. Like let's say we'll get like I'll get a really good idea, and then he'll have like another great idea like along the lines of that, and then we'll just get like so excited about it, stuff like that, and then and then on the other side, it's like when he's feeling like really frustrated or something like that, I don't want him to feel that way, and like because I know how much work he's put into doing this, that it's like I want it to work out for him.
Yeah.
You know, and it just frustrates me because I know how he's feeling. Yeah. And it's just like, it just makes me more frustrated at the people that he's dealing with, like depending on like what day or whatever, you know.
So it sounds like there's a lot of different variable factors going in there.
Yeah.
And so, but kind of came back to your dad there. But what else about your mom? Your relationship with her at home or at work, in terms of your, feeling stressed, feeling sad when you do.
I mean, we have a closer relationship, just because like she's helping me out, like through I guess till like high school as well. Just kind of helping me with homework and stuff like that. Yeah. Like there was like a certain project where I had to like design my own like pamphlet for science or something like that. And that like with the application that she had on her computer, like she'd start to design something and then, no, let me jump in there, because like I'll have my own ideas, and I'm creative as well, and it's just like I just take ownership in the project. And I want it to look the best too. And it just...
So is that kind of thing still going on now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's like at work, it's like she'll be like doing, like designing something, and then I'll kind of, you know, like look at it for a minute and go, why don't you try that? And then it's like totally different. Like in a really good way. It's just like, oh, I didn't think about it that way.
That's cool. That sounds good.
But
so it sounds like there are a lot of really positive parts of your relationship with both your mom and your dad.
Yeah.
Maybe this close proximity for so long is just, it leads to things kind of bubbling up when you have all that stress at work as well. Right? Is that so right?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to really just kind of pinpoint like anything like with what you're just saying on that. But it just kind of builds, and then it just gets to a point where like just kind of top just explodes.
Yeah.
Or just pops off.
How often does that kind of thing happen?
Not too often, but I mean, it'll happen.
Yeah.
But I try to like do my best to make sure it doesn't happen.
So would you say it happens like once a week, like once a month? What kind of time frame?
Maybe once a month.
Once a month.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And so with this kind of strategy that you've taken to respond, would you like to respond in a different way? Maybe you don't know what that way would be, but are you happy with the result? Or would you like a different result?
I mean, I'm like happy to an extent, but it's like I'm just kind of at like it's like I just feel stuck, to where like I'm just at a point where like I don't know where I can go from here.
Can you say a little more about that?
Just that like I'm able to figure it out and kind of deal with it, sort of, but it just kind of comes to a point where like I have no idea what to do. Like, where do I go from here?
So you're saying that in terms of like feeling sad?
Sad, but also just kind of just frustrated with like when it does like kind of explode in a way. Just kind of just like just kind of getting I mean, I don't know if the fight is the best way to describe it, but just kind of like our frustration on like how each of us are feeling might not be the exact same way, but like we're about the exact same thing, but we're feeling like if we're both feeling frustrated about something, it just can kind of clash.
And so you said you feel when those things happen, you feel like you're stuck.
Because I don't know, like do I ask him like why he's feeling that way, or do I say how like why I'm feeling this way?
Mm-hmm.
It's just like because it's a different reason.
Yeah.
That it's hard to go. What's going on? You know.
Yeah. Well, it's great that you think like that. You know, like how should I respond to this? Like, should I ask him how he's feeling? That kind of stuff. That's great. But do you feel like in those moments, like when you're in the moment, when it's starting, like you said, it's like about to explode, it keeps bubbling up. Do you feel like you can process those things? Or is it difficult to do that when it's in the heat of the moment?
It's kind of hard to do that in the heat of the moment.
Mm-hmm. And that's natural.
It's like, I'm like, the way like I'm trying to come across is not coming across that way to them. And it just, like, that just frustrates me even more. And the more I even try to, like, if I'm trying to just explain something to them and I just feel like they're not getting it, it just kind of escalates. Because it's just like, how can I explain it to them in a different way or something that it's just like, I don't know what to do.
Right. It's hard to do, especially when you guys are so close. There's all these other factors that are involved, you know? And so it sounds like that stuff builds up. You don't really know exactly how to respond. And so when it gets to that point, you just remove yourself. And that's kind of where you're at now.
Yeah.
And you're feeling stuck in that way. So maybe working here over the next 8 weeks, we can kind of create maybe a different way of responding or looking at the whole situation. And so it sounds like you've and your family have developed this sort of habit of responding in a certain way to things. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
And especially with your family, because that's been developing since you were a little kid. So
Yeah.
You're probably stuck, like you said, in certain patterns that just repeat themselves over and over and over again. And they just become like this path, it's the easiest way to go, and it's become automatic. Right?
Yeah.
That's all right. So I think that's a good time to transition a little bit. So there are a couple of things that I would like to touch on before we finish here today, and then I hope we can agree to move forward because I think you're an excellent candidate for this program. But so basically, our understanding of what depression is that, so during a serious episode of depression, you have certain moods that were happening at that time, and then they become formed and associated with like certain negative thought patterns that happen as well. And those thought patterns continue to bubble up, like kind of like what you were saying. You keep thinking about these same things. What do I do? And they don't really come to a solution, but they kind of just make the situation worse. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
So that's sort of our understanding of depression is that when you have a serious episode, you're not in one now, but you've had them in the past. And so when you have that episode, those moods and thoughts and feelings, they become like tightly bonded with it. So the understanding that we have beyond that is that the possibility for it to come back in the future has been greatened or heightened because when you have changes in moods, even if they're small changes in moods, even if the situation doesn't really seem like a big deal objectively, those negative thought patterns have been tightly bonded with those moods. So maybe a small shift in mood can reactivate this whole process because it's kind of happening automatically because you just built up this way of responding over all the years. And so you have this kind of set system that happens almost before you can think about it. And so that can lead to just thinking about it, and that thinking about it makes it worse and worse, and that can ultimately lead to a full depressive episode. Okay. Does that
Yeah.
sound kind of accurate with your experience?
Yeah.
It does?
Yes.
So basically, what we offer here is a different way of relating to those negative thoughts and feelings, kind of a shifted perspective on the whole thing. So it's sort of a new mindset that we're trying to create and cultivate while you're here over these 8 weeks. So you'll be in that same situation, but then hopefully you'll be able to look at it almost from a new set of eyes than you've had this whole, time of your life with your family and at work, and what are other situations that we'll be able to come up with over the time that you're here. And so MBCT stands for Mindfulness-Based Cognitive Therapy. So there's kind of two major components. We bring them together for this overall goal of preventing future depression from coming back into your life. So the cognitive therapy piece is probably pretty familiar to you. If you've had this talk therapy in relation to depression, that's kind of like the standard way of going about it. So there's this cognitive therapy, very supported by research in dealing with depression. And so that's learning how to see the relationship between thoughts and feelings and behaviors, and see how they intermingle and how they can lead to depression, and how you might be able to look at them differently, or maybe change your behaviors, things like that. You've probably gone through behavioral activation treatment, may have been called something else, but we'll talk about that in the future. So there's the cognitive therapy component, okay? Then there's this mindfulness component. And do you know anything about mindfulness?
Yeah. I mean, it's just kind of learning to be more self-aware.
Very nicely put. Yeah. Cultivating an awareness of the present moment that is non-judgmental and kind of just allows things to be the way they are without saying they should be this other way. I should be happy right now, but I'm not. So how can I fix that? It's stepping outside of that mindset and just sort of allowing things to be, which is ultimately not our natural way of being based on the culture that we're in and just the way that life is, these days.
Yeah.
So have you tried meditation at all?
Yeah.
What's your experience been like with meditation?
It's been good. I started a 21-day trial meditation with Deepak Chopra and Oprah.
Okay.
But I only got to the second day, and then I just got so distracted.
It's kind of hard to do on your own.
And also just that I haven't really had time to myself necessarily to really focus on that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just I want to get back into it. It's just figuring out the time and finding that time.
Okay. So you're open to trying it.
Yeah.
That's a big part of what we're going to be doing. There's going to be a lot of meditation practice that is while you're here every week, and also every day while you're at home. And so I have to emphasize to you that it will be work. The whole idea is to develop a daily practice and make this general awareness kind of just a part of your way of being. So it's going to be a lot of meditation practice that is geared towards that. So, and that sort of relates back to how the program progresses. So the first 4 sessions, there are 8 sessions total. You're in a group, as we mentioned before, and it's probably going to be about 10 to 12 people or so. And we'll talk a little bit more about that, see how your comfort level is with that and what challenges there might be for you. But the first 4 sessions are geared towards developing your attention skill, basically. So developing your ability to become aware of just what's happening. So that's going to be the first 4 sessions that will be dedicated to that. And then just sort of establishing a baseline meditation practice, a practice of being aware of the present moment. And then sessions 5 through 8, that's going to be sort of bringing in the cognitive therapy component and meshing everything together towards the specific goal of preventing depression from coming back into your life. Okay, so you have this attention piece. We're going to really kind of get in there and develop your ability to intentionally focus on certain things, and then move into more specifically how this relates to preventing depression from coming back into your life. And so also, have you had any group therapy sessions before, or any experiences with groups in that kind of context?
Yeah, I mean, last like the group meditations when I was down in Norfolk with my brother, and he wanted me to. He was going to go to a meditation group, like the following Sunday that I was there, and he asked me if I wanted to join.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, why not?
And so, how was that group experience for you?
It was really good. Totally different than I was. Not necessarily totally different than what I was expecting, but just kind of different in a way that, just the the calmness in the room compared to just while we were doing the meditation, I was feeling this just calmness, and then just also thinking just about just the general society today, and just all the constant noises, whether it's with technology or just I guess chaos in a way. There's no real I guess there's just a lot of things going on that it's just hard to find that quiet moment. Just so many different distractions, computers, mobile devices.
So it sounds like that was a positive experience.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. Okay. So there will be a lot of meditation, and it will be in a group setting. And so you're welcome to share things with the group when we go around and ask if people would like to share, but you're also never required to share if you don't feel like it. Okay? So do you have any other specific reservations about working with a group?
No.
No? Okay. So I feel very optimistic that you can benefit from this program. How are you feeling about it?
Good. I'm excited.
Excited about it?
Yeah.
Me too. So before we go, let me just, again, like I said at the beginning, really thank you for having the courage to come this far. It takes a whole lot to get started on this kind of path, and I know you've had treatment in the past. This will be something pretty different. And so, like you said, you're excited. I'm excited as well. And I just want to welcome you to this program, this sort of journey that we're going to have together. And I'll be practicing this whole time as well. It's sort of just a new mindset. And I am optimistic that it will work for you, and I hope that it does. Okay? So I have some forms for you to take with you home. It's just sort of kind of what I talked about, but just so you have it, you can read over it and get a better understanding of what mindfulness-based cognitive therapy is. And if you don't have any other questions, then I will see you for our first session next week.
Okay.
Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Any questions or thoughts about how that went? Just cut. It's over. Feedback?
That was definitely interesting. I feel like people can definitely benefit from this. Mm-hmm. Definitely the whole mindfulness way of going about the kind of cognitive therapy is definitely to me kind of a cool way to integrate just mindfulness and being more aware.
So was it helpful for you?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes.
Was there anything that I did that was like weird or?
Well, it just felt weird because like we're brothers,
right? Yeah.
But that was like really the only thing.
Mm-hmm. Was there any like maybe like body language thing that was weird that I was doing?
No.
That I might not have been aware of.
No,
No,
I don't think so.
Did you feel comfortable?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just like
one thing that that my professor mentioned last time was that I kind of missed out on some times to like touch into the emotion and like to have some moments of feeling empathy. It's like getting outside of the session and just say, hey, you know, that must be really difficult. I tried to do it a couple times. Did you feel like that was effective?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
And especially probably like the first time you meet with the person, you don't want to do that like too much.
Make it seem you want to make sure that it's genuine.
Yeah.
You know, because it might, if you're saying all the time, it might just sound like, okay, you're just saying that.
Yeah.
So it's hard to make it like, you know, very authentic.
Like if they're talking about something that like, as you could like read their body language.
Yeah. I go, wow.
That seems that as far as you can read, just and like, I guess their tone of voice. And,
notice how it just kind of changes, and then make mention of that.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, thank you.
Absolutely.